regular monthly meeting of the Mesa County Federal Leasing District Board will come to order. The first item is the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes proposed? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move we accept the agenda as written.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you very much. First item is the general public comment. At this time, the board will entertain any general public comment. Hearing none, we will move on to the adoption of the October meeting minutes. Are there any changes proposed? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Thank you. Moved and seconded that we approve the minutes as presented. All in favor, say aye.
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 Dusty, staff report.
Our November staff report. We posted on our social media. We said thank you to veterans. We posted on the news release on the grant awards that we had done in October. I shared the 3 news articles on the grant awards that mentioned the district. We posted our October meeting to YouTube. I posted our November Zoom meeting details on our social media along with the links. I uploaded our live stream to social media. And of course, we posted that our meeting minutes were ready to be read and the agenda for the meeting. These are the links to the media articles that we got. KKCO and KREX posted and did stories that CMU and D51 received grant money for COVID testing, and the Business Times published the full press release that said the Mineral Lease District awards and who they were granted to. We have no grants requesting payment at this time. For invoices for October, I apologize for the typo, it's for Dusty Reimer for invoice 152 for services and supplies for $3,789.97. Dufford Waldeck invoice 22574 for $880 for services, and Ide Bailey invoice EI 0104471 for $1,910.52 for QuickBook fees and services. We're going to deal with our DOLA disbursement and budgeting. Just a reminder, it's $495,556. And our upcoming events are tentatively scheduled board meeting, which sounds like it will be a Zoom meeting, will be December 16th. We need to have a 30-day public notice for our budget published in the newspaper so that people will have an opportunity to review it before that meeting or our budget approval meeting if it goes any longer. And we need to have it approved by December 31st. That is my information.
Are there any questions for Dusty? I have one, Dusty. So do you contact those media outlets when there's news, or do they contact you? How does that happen?
So I type up press releases and send them out on different news sources when they come out. Sometimes they contact me about the stories, and sometimes they run them as is, and sometimes I don't hear from them at all.
Okay, right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a motion to approve the staff report?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you very much. Review of the investment count for October. Matt?
Yeah, basically good month, and it keeps getting better. So markets are at pretty much our all-time highs. The portfolio is at its all-time high as of yesterday at 1.83 million, just shy of $350,000 of gains since inception, and we're about 62% equities right now. So we're still within our threshold. We did a rebalance a couple months ago. We were up around 67% equity, so we had to get back into our investment policy constraints. But now equities are going back up again. So that's where we're at least for the time being. otherwise, no major changes, but I can answer questions if there are any.
Okay. Questions for Matt? If not, I'll entertain a motion for the approval of his report.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you, man.
Approval and execution of fall grant contracts.
Oh, wait, we have financials for October.
Oh, review. All right. I'm sorry.
No, it's
Review
okay.
of financials. I apologize.
No, you're okay.
Okay, for the balance sheet, under the fund balance, we have $1,114,534.90. And for the permanent fund, we have $1,718,580.10. For the net income, we have $200,000 grants awarded, contract services of $3,750, dues or membership $265.97, supplies $22.14, operations expenses of $609.40, unrealized loss in perm fund of $40,014.72. Realized gain, $17,945.25. Interest earned of 5 cents. Dividend income of $1,787.57. And investment fees of $3,691.84. For a net income of $228,620, or net loss of $128,621.20. Okay, under the AP aging summary, I added 3 current AP for the city of Fruta, 50,000, Colorado Mesa University, 88,400, East Orchard Mesa Fire Protection District, 61,600, Grand Junction Police Department, 150,000, and Lands End Fire Protection District of 50,000. For the budget to actual, we're still under the budget for outside services and other expenses. And the rest are pretty much the same as prior month. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve the financials for October as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you very much. Now we move to item 7, approval and execution of fall grant contracts.
So in the board packet, I sent along a copy of the resolution that Chris had sent over. If you guys want to read off that, if everything's okay. I know Craig has a copy of it to sign along with other contracts. If they have been submitted to everybody and they've been signed by Lower Valley and East Orchard Mesa. They have not been signed yet by CMU or D51 just yet.
So, first of all, Chris is not on this call, right?
That's right.
Okay. So the way we've usually handled that in the past is the grantee signs first and we sign last, right?
Not always. We have had a few cases where the like a couple of different times we've had situations where City of Grand Junction has had issues with the contract, just with wording or something. But typically the contract amounts are reviewed and approved. We don't have to sign the contract, so you can just approve the resolution, I think maybe. I'm not gonna speak on any of that, whether what you approve or what you not approve. I just know that you guys have already approved the grants. If you're uncomfortable with the contracts, then I would not sign them. But we have had 2 that are fine with them.
So East Orchard Mesa is signed and Lower Valley is signed, but
Yes.
CMU has not.
No, we have not gotten their signature back, and
Okay.
D51 hasn't signed their part of it either.
Oh, got it. Okay.
It was a joint application. But Derek was responsive. They were eager to get it. So
I think last time, Craig, we went ahead and approved the resolution. It seems like somebody hadn't signed last time, and Chris said, we have all the power, we don't have to pay if they don't meet their requirements. Does that sound right?
oh yeah, it was the city. It was it was the city of Grand Junction because they wanted to change the terms of the contract. So yeah, we did approve that. And then we had a special meeting for them that where you guys signed a different contract for them later on because we did change it. So the resolution just says that you, it says for the grant contracts. It says that you approved grants, the grant agreements are approved.
In the board packet,
Yes,
did you send out the grant agreement?
I did not.
Well, I've got a problem with saying the board has reviewed same and finds them to be in order if we haven't reviewed them and don't find them to be in order. Item number, we can't agree to, I don't see how we can agree to number 2.
Oh yeah, that would be a good point.
So can we approve the 2 that signed and let the other ones wait until they sign it, or what?
We don't,
There you go.
we don't have a copy of the
Yeah.
agreement.
Yeah, I don't like it. You know, there for a minute I was thinking, well, we could amend item number 2 there to say something along the lines of the board authorizes the president to review the agreements, but I'm not the attorney for the board. I think that's kind of a dangerous precedent too, for the president to be signing stuff that
That you haven't seen.
Hasn't been done.
Yep.
so the only thing I can think of is we got to table this till December.
Yeah. Is there a rush for this, Dusty? Does this hold up any funding or anything like that for anybody?
We've technically said to hold off on purchasing or doing anything until contracts have been signed.
Well, we could, if who signed now? Lower Valley, and who else signed?
East Orchard Mesa.
So why don't we just approve those 2 and hold the other ones until next meeting?
We don't have them to
Yeah.
approve. We don't have the documents themselves to approve of them.
I mean, those people put the application in and signed the thing on a timely matter. I don't know why we wouldn't just approve those 2 and wait for the other 2 to decide what they want to do.
Well, the answer to your question, I think, John, is I don't see, I understand what they did. I'm trying to figure out how we can execute these without the board being in possession of the agreements.
Yeah.
How can we approve something that we haven't seen?
Well, if we assign the agreements of the two that we got two of them back, correct?
Dusty
So
says,
if we approve that and they want to, I mean, if they wanted to move forward with their project, they'd be ready to move, wouldn't they?
Right. I could pull them up. I know I just sent them to you guys and it doesn't change anything, but I could pull them up and we could go through them now.
I guess my thought is if the ones that sent their paperwork back in, and if they're ready to start doing something, we could approve them too and wait till the other two. Why should we hold, I'm not sure if they're ready to do anything or not, but if they are, why should they wait another month to see what the other two applicants are doing?
I, um, I don't like the precedent, John, of us changing the rules as we go. Some grant cycles, we have this documentation, some we don't. I don't like that.
Okay, won't do it then.
Greg, I agree we hold off unless we need to have a special meeting to approve this. If somebody's in a hurry, we could have a special meeting to approve it. That's
Yeah,
all I would think.
If this is doing harm to somebody, Dusty, then I think you reach out to us and we request a special meeting. But I think we stick with the way we do this. It's a bumpy road, if you ask me. If every single one of these grant cycles, we do it slightly different. I just think we do it uniformly and fairly. And it is not my intention to hurt anybody, but if there's pain out there, all they got to do is reach out to you and we can figure, we're all around. So we can certainly schedule a special meeting and have that, with that one item. So I guess I would entertain a motion to table the approval and execution of fall grant contracts until a subsequent meeting, whether it's special or a regular meeting in December.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I appreciate that. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. Okay, discussion and review of the budget for 2021. Dusty?
Okay. Get this pulled up. I'm actually gonna defer this to Christine. I know she's gonna have the spreadsheet that she's gonna work off of to move forward.
Okay. I believe I'm ready for any changes necessary. Have 2021 pulled up here. So any changes that you're seeing?
Chris, you already, accounting fees is revised to 2,400? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at a different form. I'm looking at the worksheet that you included, Dusty.
Oh yeah,
Budget worksheet. You have some revised numbers here.
yep, that I sent out with everybody. Do you have that one too, Christine, to look at, to pull up?
The one that Dusty sent has a flaw in it because it only covers 10 months.
Okay.
So I sent a revised one to you, Dusty.
Yep.
Do you have that?
I do.
Can you put that up there on the screen, please?
Yes. Christine, can I have you stop? Thank you. I appreciate that.
I see.
Whoops. Sorry about that. Pull it up real quick. I apologize. I have to pull it up a different way. Come on. Coming. Okay, there it is. Sorry, there we go. You see that one?
Yeah, that's revised to have the correct formulas in it. And I apologize for that first one I sent you.
There you go. Oh, I just dropped. Okay. So Chris had sent over too that there was a possibility of getting rid of audits. We could potentially apply to the state and ask for them to allow us to not have to require an audit. There's a worksheet that we would have to submit every year instead.
Right. So let me I'll give a little report here. We've had some discussions. Several, I think Quint had some discussions with Ide Bailey. I had a lengthy conversation with Chris McEnany and asked him if he would consider some sort of a guarantee or an agreement with the district that unless there was litigation, that his legal fees would be limited to $5,000 next year. He said that he was amenable towards that type of agreement. And then I met with Dusty, and Dusty said that she was willing to work with us in any way that we needed, and that's very much appreciated, Dusty. So these numbers we're just playing with. Then I think Quint, you were going to talk to Ide Bailey?
I talked to Kathy. They do bill us for the hours that for the meetings. They can either show up for a limited time and just go through the budget, go through the finances, and then leave the meeting, or they can just show up once a quarter. I don't see any reason why we need, and then we can just ask questions. If we have questions, we can send them to them. I don't see the need to have someone go through the financials every month. I think we can cut that back to a quarterly thing. I don't know how much that is. She also says there are some things they can look at to do to help us. That they write off part of their fees as a contribution also. So
Did you get down to a number?
I did not get down to a number. She was going to
ask Kathy if there's a number in specific that she has in mind.
Okay, that would be great.
Yeah, if we can, I think that the audit issue is a separate one and potentially bigger. If we, in my mind, our financials are not complicated in any way, shape, or form. There's nothing exciting going on there. I was concerned about Matt's investment fees being rolled into the admin, but as it turns out, it isn't. What has me concerned now is the financials and the different supplies and that kind of stuff that's on there. And I'm wondering if we shouldn't figure that into a line item. You understand what I'm saying? So we've got, I don't know I didn't ask Chris if insurance fits into that. Dues and memberships, I'm not sure. And who are those dues and memberships to, Dusty?
So our dues and memberships is the Special District Association. I believe also what goes into like our dues and memberships are, I think that's where it goes into like the email hosting, the security for internet, just like the Microsoft, the Adobe, the Zoom. I think that all falls into that category.
And it seems like I've always recused myself from anything having to do with insurance because it's purchased, I think, through Home Loan Investment Company, of which I'm a shareholder and an officer. I don't have anything to do with the insurance division, but I'm not sure. It seems like in a meeting once they said that we got a better rate on insurance because we belong to that association. Would you check on that, Dusty?
Yep.
Please. So if we get back to this worksheet that we've got to get to, if we can get a number that Eide Bailly is comfortable with guaranteeing us, if I guess from my perspective, if we've got Eide Bailly preparing the financials, and I agree with Quint, I don't think they have to be presented at a meeting. They're just not that complicated. If there was a question, we could, have someone from Christine or somebody else from Eide Bailly come to the next meeting and give us the answer to that question. But I think it's a luxury. Having her at the meetings or Representative Eide Bailly is a luxury we can't afford. I don't feel that way about Chris because there's too much stuff going on all the time that we have to ask questions for. So if we could get a refined number from Eide Bailly about what they're willing to contract for the next year, then I think we take a good long look at that audit number and see if we've got Eide Bailly preparing our financials and they're as simple as they are, is it necessary to spend $3,800 a year on an audit when that's going to come out of people's hides, for lack of a better way of putting it, specifically Dusty's. But if you see there, if we got Chris down to 5,000, and I don't know where that 2,400 came from, then maybe that was my estimate. And if I hope Dusty doesn't have to go to 32,000, but if she does, and then if we eliminate that audit, maybe we can do something. Then the next question is, what cushion is this board comfortable with? And the $3,100 in dues, supplies, and operations, is that included in there as well? Because we can't, I would be very uncomfortable with getting under $5,000 as a cushion there. I don't know how my fellow board members feel about it, but something could happen and we would be, I don't know. I think it's irresponsible to drive the bus that close to the cliff.
I would, based on our limited budget, I could see going a little lower than that. Craig, just because we have such a limited budget, but not a lot. I wouldn't go less than, I wouldn't feel comfortable less than 3,000. That gives us a little buffer if we run up against some legal expenses somewhere, but that would be my.
There was a, one thing I forgot to report. So there was a question that Dusty had about, we have a money from previous grant cycles that for one reason or another, either the grantee did not require that much funding or abandoned the project or whatever. And so we've got a couple $100,000 from previous grant cycles that is unused. And the question is, could we use that? Chris's response was, as I recall it, intending to simplify everything, there was a legal argument to be made on both sides of that. And that is dirt that I have no desire to walk on whatsoever. This district, I think, has been black and white since its inception. And he said you could, given the statute, you could make an argument on either side of that. Why we would want to do that, I have no idea. Gentlemen, help me out here.
I imagine we're going to see declining revenue next year in 21.
Yes, sir.
We get a spring grant, correct?
It's up to you guys. If you guys want to do spring and fall or just one big one, or not give any money out at all. It's always spend up to the board.
I don't.
As that revenue goes down, is the auditing going to drop correspondingly?
Probably not.
It hasn't.
Mm-mm.
Dusty, if we just have one grant cycle,
Mhm.
cuts down on your efforts and expenses considerably each year?
Expenses, yes, it can. We don't make a lot of binders. That's pretty much the thing that we put into. The other thing is that it goes into billables for contracts being made, which would fall under Chris. And the other thing is that we still have grants that are to be paid out. So we have 5 right now that we still have that could potentially come in this next year that we'd need to be around to pay off. So too. So it can.
What are your thoughts on that, Craig?
Well, all 3 of us have been concerned for several years about the grant applications that we've been receiving. But they are, the 3 of us also know that those grant applications are directly related to the amount of money that's available. If you want things to get applications that matter, have enough money to do something that matters. And so I'm actually, I've always been a proponent for that, the 2 grant cycles, but I'm seeing the efficacy now of us just having 1 grant cycle next year. I feel compelled to continue to invest in the emergency fund or the permanent fund, excuse me. I think that it is serving the people of Mesa County very well with where it's at. You know, it won't be long that we'll have that up to $2 million. And that was just a dream a long time ago that we could get that to there. So I think, you know, with Matt's good work, I think we need to continue to invest in that. However, I guess my number, not more than $100,000 this next year.
I would agree with that.
So if we give 100, then we're basically saying that with one grant cycle, we'll be giving away about 350,000, holding back the money that we need for administration, right?
Yes. Great.
John, you've been uncharacteristically quiet.
I don't like looking at declining money, but that's obviously what you're gonna have. And I mean, I don't know, I guess if some of the things happen the way it's the talk out of Denver, where we're heading is just gonna continue to decline.
Yeah.
Yeah, until unfortunately until the attitude towards investing in oil and gas in Colorado change, we're not going to see this come up. There's not going to be any more drilling. Therefore, no more money the money is going to increase for us. Right now, all of the private equity companies and investors in oil and gas are not investing in Colorado until our regulatory environment gets fixed.
And a lot depends upon what happens in Washington. And 3 or 4 years ago, I was at a RAC meeting, and 71% of the BLM's operating money comes from the extraction industries. And I don't, you know, I'm sure BLM knows that, but Joe Biden talked about no more fracking on federal lands and blah, 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 blah. So, you know, I guess they can keep shooting themselves in the foot until they have nothing left. Are they going to lay off some bureaucrats? That's probably not likely either. But it's not in my mind, not a real pretty picture.
Probably not going to change until we've got lines until people are hard having, until we've got blackouts and people are having to sit in lines at the gas stations. We're probably not going to see this change.
What is both of your feelings about this audit question?
I don't think we should skip multiple years, Craig. I think I can see us skipping, doing it every other year or every third year. But I hate to see us skipping an audit for multiple years. Budgeting, putting aside money each year for an audit every 3 years. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I guess I have two things I think about it. One is it shoves some risk over in the lap of board members that, you know, without having an audit, that oversight is a good protection for the public's money and for us. Again, that's a good question for insurance. Are we insurable if we don't have audits? And I don't know the answer to that question.
They probably have a requirement. I don't know how, but I'm sure they have a requirement.
And I think it's an opt-in or out. I'm not sure that, I suppose you could go every other year or every second year or something like that. But my experience with audits is if you miss a year, you're going to pay for cleaning that up because they're going to have to go back. They're going to go back to the last audit. Would you agree with that, Christine?
Yes.
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Yes, I do agree with Craig said. I think that a yearly audit would still be actually relevant. And so, unfortunately.
Can we get bids from other companies to do the audit?
We just did like 2 years ago. We put out the RFP and we only got one response, which was our current auditor. And I should say too that even though Chris had responded that we do potentially have an option, the state would still have to approve us not doing it. So you could potentially apply and they could say no. So there's no guarantee you could actually have that done anyway. If I read that correctly.
Well, we've got to approve this budget in December, correct?
Yeah, by December 31st. Do we want to ask some questions and then come back this week or next week and like put this together in a package so that we can review it for public?
Yeah, I guess I agree with that. I think maybe Dusty and I would ask the board's permission to let us work on this for a couple of weeks. We'll reach out to, we can get an answer hopefully from Ide Bailey about what they're willing to do. Reach out to our auditor and see if there's something they can do to help us. Chris was very willing to help. Then we can circle back on those other expenses and see if they're going to be included there, and then come back to the board with a product that fits within the constraint that we're operating under.
Sounds good to me.
Craig, I'll have an answer from you from Ide Bailey I'll get that to you tomorrow.
Okay.
I meant to get that before we met today, and I forgot to follow up with Kathy on a final number. So
Okay.
I'll get that to you before tomorrow.
And I'll circle back with Chris and make sure he's comfortable with that 5,000, or if he wants to go lower, we'll certainly accept that. He said he deemed it as public service rather than profit center. So I appreciate that.
Craig, do you need somebody to check with the? Can you check with insurance, or do you need somebody else to check with insurance on the audit?
I would.
I
Yes.
can. If you want, I can go through an email over to Jamie and Ann and see what their response is, because we have to check on if we need an audit. And then the other question was the Special District Association, if it gave us a discount for our insurance.
Great. Good. Okay, so Dusty, you'll handle that.
Yep.
Wait, you'll do Ide Bailey. I'll talk to Chris again, and then I'll reach out to our auditor and see what we can do there.
Okay. Do we want to try and meet again? I know next week is Thanksgiving, maybe November 3rd or December 1st. So we have to have it a 30-day public notice that this is the budget that we're proposing out in the open. So the sooner the better. What anybody has in like the next week would be great for a schedule.
I can meet. I'm not going to any Christmas parties, so I got lots of time.
Because you haven't gotten any invitations or
Uh-huh.
you're distancing?
No, nobody's
Okay.
invited me, Craig.
Um,
I heard
Okay.
Matt was having one, but I didn't get an invite to that. So
No, I'm Jewish, guys.
you can still have holiday parties, Matt.
Funerals. You can have funerals.
that's an issue though, Dusty, because if we got to publish, how many days before we have a meeting?
I'm counting this. We have to have it's got to be published for 30 days. And then I'm looking at the meeting that we have. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 1, 2, 3, it's 21, 28, 29. It was going to be, if we would have published it probably today, it would have been about 30 days exactly. So we'll have to, you're looking at moving even the meeting to later, like a regular December meeting until later as well.
That's fine.
So
But do we have to notice our next meeting where we approve it so that we post it? That's my question.
wait, what was the question?
Okay, so we have to give a public notice so
Right.
many days before we have a meeting. You're saying we have to have a meeting
Right.
and approve this so that then it can be out there for 30 days.
So this temporary budget, we have to publish in the newspaper and put it out for everybody to say there's got to be a 30-day public viewing. Whenever we do a meeting, we have to have a 24-hour notice for our board meetings.
So we just have to post the draft budget for 30
Yeah, the draft
days.
budget has to be published for 30 days. And then anytime we have a board meeting, we have to have a 24-hour notice published.
Okay, what's everybody's week look like next week? John, Quint?
I can do Wednesday, same time. I can do Monday, same time, Wednesday, same time.
Wednesday's the day before Thanksgiving. Are you
Have
sure?
Thanksgiving Day because we're not doing anything.
Yeah, we might have to. I can do Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning works for me. Monday, all day works for me.
Monday is good for me too. And it shouldn't take very long because it'll pretty much just be updating the numbers with this, hopefully.
Yeah. Okay, so
This coming Monday,
yes.
maybe, maybe not.
23rd.
You going out of town, John?
I don't know. It depends upon, I may be discussed it with elk hunting by then.
You want me to look at the weather and help you decide, John?
Yeah, well, I'll have maybe enough days of good time by that time and give up. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the elk hunter's lament right there. So what is there a day that works better for you, John?
Well, Tuesday, I could probably do Monday afternoon because in the morning we have our administrative hearing from 9 till 10 if I'm back.
And Quint, you're good on Monday?
I'm good on Monday, and just looking at that meeting on Tuesday, my attendance is not required on that one, so I can skip that one to take care of this.
You want to do Monday afternoon?
I think Tuesday works better for me, John. Does that work for you?
No, Tuesday, I just have an early morning Tuesday and then I got a lot of options later.
So 3 o'clock Tuesday afternoon?
Sounds good.
The 24th.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's do that. I'm betting that meeting I'm in on Tuesday, I bet it gets canceled anyways, because it's just an update on some regulatory stuff that's not gonna happen before then.
All right, so you'll post that meeting, and we've all got our assignments, and because we got to get that figured out then next Tuesday at 3:00.
Okay,
For me,
so let's talk about the December meeting then. So if we get that taken care of on the 24th, which is next Tuesday, it's got to be posted for 30 days. That brings us to December 24th, which would mean our meeting on the 16th could be a moot point.
Yes, it is a moot point.
Do we want to move it to
Tuesday, the 29th.
do that?
that would probably make the most sense.
Okay.
You okay with that, John?
It says here, I have a CARES meeting at 3:30 on the 29th.
So you want to go,
Could move it up till 2, maybe 2 would probably work.
is that okay with you, Quint?
That works for me. Shouldn't take us long.
I'll make that work.
Okay. So 2 p.m. on December 29th.
Yes.
Okay. I'll send the invites out right now since we have the date set for all of them.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
Okay, now that moves us is, unless there's anything else on that matter, is there? Okay, that moves us to item number 9, discussion of requests for grant scores. Gentlemen. Let me lay the groundwork, okay? Dusty received a request for individual grant scores from one of the applicants from the fall cycle. Dusty reached out to Chris, and Chris's response was that those were individual work papers, and his opinion were protected from was it a FOIA request we got? An informal.
It was an informal.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was, this is only the second time in all these years that I've been on this board that's happened. We've gotten that request. And so we agreed to kind of table the request until the board could meet and discuss that matter, which we will do right now. So with that, did I miss anything, Dusty?
Nope, that's it.
With that, we'll turn it over to you, gentlemen.
Well, I remember back, it seemed like it was the city of Grand Junction, and we put all of our scores individually up there, and I didn't appreciate the comment that I had to listen to everybody complain because I didn't do this quite right and I didn't do that quite right. And I guess if you want to go through that kind of bickering, then you just turn over the scores. But personally, not very favorable to doing that. We did the scoring the best we can do, and it's either a sour grape thing or whatever they want to know or what. When the city did that, I was not very thrilled and happy about it. And I thought at that point is where we came up with we weren't going to do this anymore.
Craig, I complete those scores with the thought that people are going to see them. You know, I complete them with the thinking all the time that if they could be reviewed like anything else in an organization like this, they could be reviewed at any time. So I don't have a problem if my scores are shared, but I'm like John, I don't want to get into this where we're going through this evaluating our scores every grant cycle. I guess we really don't have to, we can provide the scores, but we don't have to answer to them. or discuss them.
You know, I learned from some pretty smart people a long time ago that withholding information, public information, is a slippery slope, and so we've never done that. You know, there was some issues about whether or not the scoring sheets were private. I'm with you, Quint. Every time I fill those out, I expect that that they'll be made public, and I have never, that I can remember, ever scored anything that I cared whether it went public or not. You do, as John said, we do the best that we can. Having said that, I'm not an elected official with my phone ringing off the hook every night with people complaining about this and complaining about that. So I'm sensitive to what John is saying, but I absolutely agree with you, Quint. It's one thing to disclose them. It's a whole nother matter to do a Q&A about it. I have no interest in replowing the field. It's hard enough scoring these grant applications, let alone having to sit down and explain every single number that you put down there. I think we've developed a fair system. It's an open system. The three of us don't discuss stuff away from these meetings, and their scores are done independently. Dusty puts them all together, and I'm fine with the results being made public, but I have, as far as having a workshop or a meeting or a agenda item where we get to do a explain this and explain that, no, that's not where we are, I think. But I am sensitive to where John is as a public official. I get that.
And that would be a complete waste of our time if we got into that.
So John, what's your preference?
I already stated it. I mean, it appears to me that when they want to know how, they want to pick issues over something. It isn't, you know, the comment was they could do a better job of applying that I don't buy into that. I mean, I think we were transparent. We gave the scores of the three of us, the average scores that everybody scored for all the applicants, and that's about as transparent as I want to be. And if that's, maybe that's not enough, but I remember the incident with the city, and I didn't really appreciate some of the comments I got, and they didn't seem to have much, when I pointed out to them, the one verbiage in the federal mineral leasing thing is where you have energy impacts. And as I remember, my comments were when Colburn in the back and you go up there and you can see the beat up roads or whatever it is, that is really energy impact. And I know there's other things, but some of it's a little bit more subjective than that. And that's why I feel like I do.
Which grant request was that, John? Do you remember?
Pardon?
Which grant request was that?
I don't
they
know,
were challenging?
but I think it was perhaps the water line for the law enforcement training center out there, the water line from 32 Road up to it, and I don't remember the numbers, but I know we had, I thought at that time, a lot of requests for items that were definitely much more, you could see the physical impacts of.
It seemed like that was done just before I got on, because I think you were funding that water line right after I got on the board.
I was thinking it was like early on, and I mean, I'm thinking it was like at 14, but maybe possibly 15 or 16, I think. 14 to 16, somewhere in those years. Because I know the mayor was not very happy with me, and she pointed it out, and she pointed it out to me 3 or 4 years later how I wasn't strong enough on public safety, really.
Wow.
I do know that on the way back, our county administrator, Mr. Tom Fisher, told me that the city manager wasn't very happy, and I said, well, just have him come up to my office and him and I'll have a talk about it. Nobody ever showed up. Lucky for me, lucky for him.
Okay.
I
Go
I
ahead,
did,
Brent.
you know, the group that requested that, I think was CMU. I did reach out to them and explain to them what I thought were some of the reasons, some of the things they could have brought up about their project to garner them a better score. And told them that, you know, the longevity, if they had emphasized the equipment and the longevity and the multiple use of that equipment, I think we probably would have scored it higher than just talking about the COVID testing. And I told them about that, and they said they understood. And I said, we're federal mineral lease money is we want to invest in things that give us the biggest bang for our buck, that are remembered more than 6 months from now, and hopefully they got something out of that. So I don't know.
Well, I think I mean, the intent was good, but on the other hand, I thought we like to give long-term things, and this medical stuff, what is the latest testing equipment in a year from now or 2 years from now is probably so obsolete, it's not even funny. And I don't know, there was also, I don't know what kind of a system they got, but CMU is doing some testing now. I mean, it just started this last week. But
They've actually been testing now for about 3 months.
But there's some of the testing is, you know, allegedly more accurate than others, and I don't know if anybody knows for sure because, you know, people have tested negative and they got worse instead of better, but so who knows? But I'm sure in this medical testing equipment, like everything in today's world, in 2 years from now, it will be fairly obsolete, I'll bet. It would be a newer, better system. But you got to start somewhere. You can't wait until you get the best. Whenever that's going to happen, everybody die off from it before then. So that's also true.
Thank you, Matt. You're good to go, buddy. Appreciate you.
Everything's saving.
Yeah, Matt.
Well, I'm happy to entertain a motion, John, if you want to make one regarding this matter.
I'd make a motion that we don't disclose our individual scoring. We do a aggregate scoring or a total scoring, and that's what we put out there. And I'm not in favor of handing out how each one of us individually scored.
So to refine your motion a little bit, we're going to consider, your motion is that you consider our individual scoring sheets to be private work papers.
Yes, and I guess, you know, maybe at the county that is what's the word they use, a work in process or a work in progress. And I mean, there's stuff at the county, we don't have to disclose everything. If it's something being worked on, it's a work project. It's not a finalized product. And when it gets finalized is when when Dusty averages out the 3 scores, that's the final product.
Okay. Quint?
Greg, I would second that we just consider those as work papers and not disclose them.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Dealt with that, and that takes us to unscheduled business.
Just to quickly recap, so I can send him your average scores and the scoring options, but just not your individual scores, correct?
That's why I understand the motion. Yes.
I'm sure that's what I'm gonna send, and I can send it to him in a PDF form, so that way I don't damage the spreadsheet because it's all linked together. So I will do that. Thank you.
And let's make sure that Chris looks at that motion that we just approved, and that if we need to refine that in a subsequent meeting, put it back on the agenda and we'll refine it.
All right.
We all three understand what our intent is here. Okay? Well, it's been a fairly lengthy meeting. I appreciate everybody's patience, and especially all you folks working with us on trying to squeeze under the budget constraints for next year. So I appreciate it very much, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Well, I have one question. So
Yes, sir.
Chairman Springer, are you going to send any bull out north of Fruta somewhere so to up my chances a little bit, or I just stay home here and work?
If I could send you one, I would. The only one I saw was in the back of my neighbor's pickup, dead. So I was skunked.
Okay.
So you don't want my advice or my luck, either one.
Hey, John, my friend in Kansas City had a cow elk turn up at one of his cameras in Kansas at a feed station. And nearest he can tell is it's an escapee from a wild game farm 10 miles away, but he's got a picture of an elk. So,
well, that must have been the only one left in Colorado that went to Kansas.
maybe that's it. Maybe that's your elk out there.
He probably posted a sign for sale by owner, private elk hunting preserve.
Yes.
I told him all he needs now is a bull.
I make a motion to adjourn, if that's what you're looking for.
Adjourn, please.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you very much.
At 4:13.
Thank you, guys.